Hi everyone, welcome to Be Like Christ for our 5-minute Bible study. Today we are in 1 Chronicles chapter 16. Chapter 16, a somewhat short chapter of only 14 verses. Let's get into it. These events took place during the time frame of 960 to 910 BC. This is during the reign of King Asa, who reigned 41 years over Judah. 4 characters today, and I think we can introduce them pretty quickly. First of all, we have Asa, the king of Judah. We have Baasha, who's new. Baasha is the king of Israel, the northern kingdom. Ben-Hadad, he's even more north than Baasha. He is the king of Syria, which was above the territory of Israel. You'll see on the map in just a second. And then Hanani was a seer who delivered a message from God to King Asa. Our map does have a few new locations today. Jerusalem is not new. That was the capital of Asa's kingdom. Ramah is a new city that we need to talk about. Ramah is just north of Jerusalem. It's a central point of conflict in this chapter. And then we need to talk about the Syrians, which the Syrians, you'll see them way up at the top of the map. That was where they lived, up there to the north, even above what is shown on the map. In this chapter, they attack some of the northern territory of Israel, the land or the territory of Naphtali. This chapter is primarily about a mistake that King Asa makes in not trusting in God, but going to other people for help. So that's what our first section in this chapter is about. Verses 1 through 10, Asa seeks help from the king of Syria. In Asa's 36th year as the king of Judah, Baasha, the king of Israel, fortified the city of Ramah. He did this to prevent people from passing through it, passing from Judah into his land, or going from his land into Judah. Now, the king of Judah, Asa, didn't want to see this happen, and so what did he do? Rather than going to God for help with the situation, and God had a track record of helping him in the past, but he didn't think to go to God this time. Instead, he took silver and gold out of the temple treasuries, and he paid the king of Syria to come down south and to attack some of the northern territory of Israel. Ben-Hadad, who was the king of Syria and also an ally of many of the kings of Judah, he took the money and he accepted the job, and he went south with some of his men and he started attacking the territory of Naphtali in Upper Israel. Because of this, Baasha had to abandon the project at Ramah, and he had to go up north to defend his territory. The men of Judah then went to Ramah and took all of the building supplies that were being used to fortify the city, and they took them and they used them to build their own cities instead. So Judah was successful in thwarting Baasha's plan, but God was not super happy about this. God sent a seer named Hanani, who went to King Asa, and he rebuked him for going to the Syrians instead of going to the Lord. And he reminded Asa that God had helped him in the past. God had helped him when the huge African army had come against him. We talked about that in chapter 14, and God had given him victory. So why is he going to the king of Syria now? Hanani prophesies that Asa's kingdom is going to be plagued by additional wars because of this misstep by the king, because he had misplaced his trust. Hanani's words really enraged King Asa, and we see him throwing the seer into prison because of this. So as we close out talking about Asa and his reign, things aren't going so well, and he's certainly not as faithful to God as he needs to be. The final years of King Asa are the topic of the last couple verses 11 through 14. In Asa's 39th year as king, we're told that he became very, very sick. He had some kind of disease of the feet. We aren't given specifics about it, but instead of asking God for help and trusting in God, he went to doctors, right? And I think what's meant here is not that it's a bad thing to go to doctors, but rather he turned away from the Lord. Maybe in spite, maybe he was angry at the Lord for sending the seer to rebuke him. We don't know, but he didn't trust in God. Instead, he wanted to find solutions elsewhere, and that was his mistake. Well, Asa ended up dying in his 41st year, and he was buried in Jerusalem. So that's the end of the life and the reign of Asa, and that's the end of chapter 16 of 2 Chronicles. Now for our application today, it's one that I really like. There's a section of the text here, some of Hanani's words in verse 9 that I really, really like. He says, quote, "For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to give strong support to those whose heart is blameless towards him." He's telling Asa, why didn't you go to God? He says God's eyes are running to and fro throughout the earth looking to help his saints. The application is that God is actively seeking and looking and wanting to support his people on the earth. It's not as if we have to beg God or hope that we catch him in a gracious mood when we cry out to him for help. No, he wants to help. The text gives us this image of God continuously scanning the earth, poised at every moment to provide heaven's support to the people that love him and cry out for that support. And so in application, remember the way that God is described in this text and don't hesitate to call out for him when you need help. He's always listening for the prayers of his people, and he loves to help his people.